Hello, dear friends. Welcome to another episode of our program here at Kardec Radio. Good evening. And if you're watching me on demand, good morning, good afternoon. Wherever you are in the world, feel welcome. Today we're going to be talking about one article from the Spiritist magazine titled Inner Christmas. And this article is by the Spirit Joanna de Angelis through the mediumship of Divaldo Franco. Before we go forward with the article, we always remind everybody, because it may be the first time you are joining us, that you can access the Spiritist magazine by visiting spiritistmagazine.org. There you're going to find a couple of resources. You're going to find a way to download the PDF of the magazine. You can also download, as you can see here, the App Store. From the App Store, you can download the app to the Spiritist magazine, and it's all free of charge. If you were to scroll down, this is the screenshot of that website where you can find the newest issue of the magazine that comes out every 3 to 4 months. And once you download the app, you can download the app to your cell phone. You can download the app to your tablet, as I'm showing you here. And any of the articles or the issues you want to read would be here. And this is the issue we're going to be looking at. This one here. It also celebrates 150 years of the Spiritist magazine. And once you are in the magazine, you can easily browse through the different articles. This is the one we're going to be talking about today. It's titled Inner Christmas by the Spirit Joanna de Angelis. And why do I show this to you? First and foremost, many of these titles are not found in books that are published in English yet. So firsthand, you can find the content in the English language that we can find nowhere else. And these are resources that we can use in our own studies at home when we are feeling the need for a consoling word. Whenever we need to nourish our souls, we can download and have the app, because after all, we carry those devices with us everywhere. So why not use it with nourishing, enlightening content for all of us? And if you're watching me live or on demand, if you have questions or comments, please write to me. Here I can see that some of you are live, so make sure that if you'd like me to acknowledge you, you can say who you are, you can say where you're watching from. Nevertheless, welcome. It's always a pleasure and an honor to be with you. Without further ado, let's talk about this article. As you can see here, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see my mouse, but this is the image of Joanna de Angelis, who is the spirit author of this article. And here at the bottom, you're going to see the picture of the actual book in Portuguese, titled Joy of Living, Alegria de Viver. And here you have, as we are in the week of Christmas, we are having the opportunity to reflect on the meaning of Christmas in our lives. So why not look at what Joanna has to say? So this article starts with a Bible quote from Matthew chapter 5, verse 3. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And Joanna starts by talking about how, hovering over the great moral night that covers humanity, are Jesus' consoling promises, announced at a time relatively like now, when profligacy and misery disputed for distinction and suffering, commanded by the Roman usurper power, was reducing the world to a condition lesser than a slave. So here's what she's talking about, that Jesus' consoling promises are in the promises of the Christ Spirit, just consoling to our hearts. Who doesn't read the Matthew chapter 5, especially with the Beatitudes, and don't feel consoled. Visualize themselves in there and knowing that Christ is taking care of us. So she's talking here about how the Jesus promises were announced at a time relatively like now, 2,000 years ago, and we are still suffering from the same of the maladies that we had back then. So let's evaluate the scenery at the times where these promises were announced to us. She says, conceited by a conquest compelling individuals towards the exterior world, they twist in constructions of anguish and suffer the rude effects of disbelief, which they surrender themselves to, thereby overlooking God and their souls, while crowning about their bodies and dissolving passions in their adventures, which become obscene and foul nightmares. And here is an interesting take on this article. She's talking about the promises of the Christ coming in a time relatively like today, where aren't most or some of us compelled towards the exterior world, overlooking God and overlooking our own souls. During this time on the earth where we are having the pandemic, we are being invited to switch from the outside world, our passions, the way we deal with the material world and the material interest is called into an inner renewal and inner reflection. A true change in attitudes, customs, and norms, just as Jesus has brought to us before. She continues, nevertheless, while individuals propose demands for peace, they still spread wars. Even though they feed technological powers, they throw themselves to wearing pleasures of championships, numbing their feelings and advancing themselves towards the cliffs of madness and suicide. So here we're invited to talk about how are we dealing with the demands of the exterior world, and are we shifting the way we see ourselves in the world, in the physical world? Remember, we are multidimensional beings. As much as we need to take care of the physical body and the physical needs, we have also our soul and our spirit, our psychological needs, our emotional needs. So we are called into a shift from outward experiences, outward expressions of faith to inner expressions of faith. And here you have coherence between, do we demand peace? Do we like peace, but we still spread wars? And our issue talking about wars in the physical realm, yes, there are still people on the earth, unfortunately, spreading wars. There are also people in the world feeding, consuming technological progresses and contributing to the technological progress, yet throwing ourselves in pleasures of championship, numbing our feelings. And here she's asking us coherence between our requests, our inner values, and our outward actions. If I demand peace, we should not be spreading wars. And can we spread wars, dear friend, even if we're not in a warlike mode? Of course we can, because thought is life. So we may be looking peaceful, acting peacefully, but we could be on our minds in turmoil. We could be sending negative vibrations and negative thoughts to someone that may have hurt us. By be spreading wars, by be spreading misinformation, and attacking people's reputations, commenting on people's lives, spreading news of others that were given to us in a moment of confidence. So there is a lot for us to take from this message, reevaluating our own relationship with the gospel, and how by the birth of Christ we are blessed with the opportunity of having the celebration of Christmas and the coming of Christ and the Savior and the Redeemer, and his promise that the kingdom of God would be within us. She continues, these days of opulence and meanness, exuberance and scarcity, are demonstrating that only the ethics of the gospel carries hope. This crazy culture continues offending human conscience because its ethics remain based on immediate material interests. Again, coherence, right? So when we're talking about where we are, we need to live in the world, but not necessarily be of the world. So we are asked to observe everything, take what is good, and create the type of society and the type of life we would like to have, taking into consideration our inner world, the real important values of life that have to do with the ethics of the gospel. So think about Jesus. Jesus came at a time that it was very difficult for the Jewish people to be there, right? Roman was an empire. It was spreading all around, and there were a lot of opulence. At the same time, there was a lot of people in scarcity and poverty. Today, we have the same. We have opulence. We have people being mean to one another. We have a lot of people showing off a lot of things that may or may not be true, because we only see one aspect of their lives when they share, when they put beautiful Instagram posts out there. Yet there's a lot of the world that still lives in a lot of poverty, not only from the physical point of view, which is something that we can act upon, but also poverty of spirit, poverty of spiritual life, or faith in God, of belief that we're more than the physical life. So when we find ourselves in this manner, where we're just going with the flow in the herd mentality, we ask ourselves, am I focused on the material interests? Am I focusing my life only what's on external, thereby neglecting the needs of my soul to be nourished with the power of love? And the power of love only comes with relationship. The power of love only comes when I go from knowing of the gospel, but living and feeling the gospel. And love comes from relationship. So if you're joining me now, we are talking about the Spiritist magazine, issue 27, an article by the Spirit Joanna de Angelis titled Inner Christmas. So this day, Christ and the Christ's birth in us, more than just the outward expressions of Christmas and the buying of gifts and being with family on Zoom, physically distanced yet spiritually connected. So it is the birth of the ethics of the gospel inside of our hearts. She says, in the face of colliding paradoxes, in the dawn of civilization, individuals find themselves compelled to use more respect when examining their lives and be extremely thoughtful about their own destiny. Again, here we are. Are we being respectful with the minutes and the hours and the days that are still left in this reincarnation? Are we honoring the blessing of being here today, the honor of knowing of the gospel, the honor of being having access to the Spiritist doctrine, the promised consoler, the consoler promised by Christ when he was incarnated? We're finding ourselves compelled to respect this blessed opportunity by taking good care of ourselves, by reading good things, by volunteering, by making use of prayer, inspirational messages, meditation, and as always, serving within the realm that is of our co-creational realm, the realm that God put us in, the circle of influence that you and I have, be it in our family members, be it at work. So we are really called to be respectful and thoughtful about our destiny, knowing that you are a spirit, an immortal spirit with free will, allowed by God to incarnate on the earth, reincarnate on the earth. This blessed opportunity become an opportunity for you to control your destiny. Where you are today is a consequence of your choices in the past. Therefore, where you're going to be a day from today, a month from today, a year from today, 100 years from today, even 1,000 or 1,000,000 years from today, is going to be determined by the choices that you take today. Your free will, you have the choice of waking up to the needs of the interior world, being respectful with our lives, and then also we can think about, if I go a certain way, that's how I'm going to find myself in the future. You can control your own destiny. We can choose today to be kinder, gentler, more charitable. Therefore, maybe we will accelerate a little bit our path to become a pure spirit. The law of progress is a law. The law of society is a law. So within our families and our societies and our community, living in society could allow us, the way we live, the way we choose to exist in this world, a world still of trials and expiations, progressing to a world of regeneration, allow us to know, I want to progress faster. I'm tired of the old me. I want to be a new man, a new woman, and move forward. And then maybe I will become a pure spirit faster, because it's all up to us. God allow us to choose up to a certain point, and then the consequences of our actions will come, and then we have to reap what we sowed. But of course, when I read this, when not only Joanna the Angelis, but also all the good spirits that we're blessed with the message here in Spiritism, they seem to have a little ways of speaking. They're concise, their paragraphs are dense, they do a warning, a kind warning, where they're saying, hey, watch this, wake up, be more mindful. And then, of course, they will encourage us towards aligning our destiny, our choices with the laws of God, therefore continuing in the path of good. Those folks that we were talking about, that's really you and I, will discover that we are immortal beings. And then we discover that we will understand that the current proposition is the same as distilled from the primitive Christian thought. So the proposition of Jesus' consoling promises is the same since the beginning of Christianity. So when I say primitive Christian thought, it's just the first Christians, right after Christ left us and is still taking care of us in the spiritual realm. Within these creatures, you and I, who are candidates for renewal, Jesus is silently born, thereby beginning a new phase. So within you, that's why inner Christmas, Jesus is silently born. Each and every day, he calls us to be co-creators with him and God in our lives. And therefore, if today I allow Jesus to be born within me, which is more than the external, wearing the red, putting a beautiful Christmas tree and giving gifts and seeing family. More than that, I allow the teachings, the promising, consoling words of the Christ to be born within me, where I recognize myself as an immortal spirit, granted the opportunity to be here by God, accepted by Jesus to be here on the earth. He has allowed us all to be here today. And when Jesus is born within us, our inner Christmas will be more than just in December, where is the convention to celebrate the birth of Christ. But we'll begin a new phase where we'll leave the old us, begin the new us, the new man, and we'll renew ourselves. Here's her wishes for us. This is Joanna the Angelis words. May this Christmas, such as the one that happened 2,000 years ago, illuminate your life. May the light of the gospel be born within you. May it conduct you towards fulfillment by making you look around and experience solidarity with those who suffer, sowing gifts of hope and mercy that makes many happy, while changing the landscape where you find yourself. And motivated by angelic voices, you will repeat the unforgettable motto, glory to God in heaven, peace on earth, and goodwill towards humankind. So, dear friends, today we are invited to allow Christ to be born within our hearts. And I hope that this message not only hits a warning in our hearts, but only calls our soul to a deeper understanding of the gifts that you and I have to be here incarnated on the earth today. Not only incarnated on the earth, but also having the blessings of the Spiritist doctrine to illuminate our lives. And may we do this not only today, not only this week, but also every day, everywhere we go. And I see some of you live. Welcome, welcome. As I was saying, we were wrapping up issue 27, Inner Christmas, by the spiritual one of the Angelis through the mediumship of Divaldo Franco. We are truly indebted to these spirits. Remember, you can go to spiritistmagazine.org. You can download the app. You can also, before I do the prayer, you can also order a physical copy of the Spiritist magazine. And for those who will be like, oh my God, I'm so technological. This is a great gift also for people. Usually I bring to you titles that are for adults, or at least young adults, but children too. And there's a whole host of children's stories at the back of each magazine. So these are things you can use with your children as well when you go and do the gospel at home with them. So take advantage of these beautiful teachings, nowhere else found anywhere but in Spiritism. And this is not a book published yet in English yet. We have this beautiful article to remind us that Christ can be born within us today and always. And as we move towards our prayer today, we are actually going to pray from a different, let me see if I can find the original article. I probably will not, but it is a prayer that is by the Spirit Emmanuel. Let me see if I can find it. It's probably from the newest issue of the magazine. I'll make sure you get the reference, but when I bring this to you, I'm always going to be projecting it, most of it, so you can find. So join me on a prayer of gratitude. Join me, if you can, close your eyes, and I'm going to read a prayer that is actually by the Spirit Emmanuel through the mediumship of Francisco Cândido Xavier, so we can all feel connected also with the good spirits. Lord, teach us to pray without forgetting to work, to give without looking for who is receiving, to serve without questioning until then, to suffer without hurting anyone, to progress without losing simplicity, to sow the good without thinking about the results, to forgive without conditions, to march forth without counting the obstacles, to see without malice, to listen without corrupting the topic, to speak without hurting others, to understand our brothers without asking to be understood, to respect others without asking for consideration, to give the best of ourselves in addition to fulfilling our duties without requesting recognition. Lord, strengthen us in the patience with the difficulties of others, like we need others to be patient with us. Help us so that we don't do to others what we don't want for ourselves. Help us most of all to recognize that our higher happiness is what will fulfill your designs, where and how you want it, now and forever. So be it. This message is found from the book A Luz da Oração, through the medium Francisco Cândido Xavier. Dear friends, I hope that you have a wonderful day or a wonderful night. May Christ be born in your heart, in the heart of your family members and friends this Christmas. And I hope that from now on, we can harbor the feelings of the promising, consoling words of the Christ within our hearts, and we can bloom into the full potentiality that we have within our spirits. And I hope that you can join me again when we meet again next week. We always broadcast on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's always a blessing. And as always, it's an honor to be with you. And I hope that I can be with you again next week. Until then, dear friends, many, many blessings.